It's not unusual for me to be traveling early in the morning. It's a little unusual for me to be doing it without Dennis. Driving to Halifax this time, so no need for an airport. Taking myself there. If you get at least $25 worth of gas, you get a free large beverage. The trick is you have to know when to stop holding down the button. Otherwise, it will overfill. I don't like to brag. It's just a particular talent I have. Halifax is actually where I was born. It's where I grew up. And before we moved to Prince Edward Island, that's where we lived as a family. And my daughter Andrea, she's there currently for university, and I'm driving to pick her up to bring her home for the holidays. This is Prince Edward Island. This is where I live, and there's two primary ways that you get off the island. I mean, I suppose swimming is one possibility, but it's not suggested. One of them is a bridge that will take you from Prince Edward Island here to New Brunswick, and it's 8 miles long. The other way off of this island is by ferry, and that's what we're taking today. Look at the water right here. It's got so much ice in it, it's almost solid, but not really. And now we're in Nova Scotia and heading to Halifax. Made it. Sort of. I'm actually in Bedford right now, which is part of the Halifax Regional Municipality, which is where they put together Halifax, Dartmouth, and Bedford. Yeah, I'm in Bedford right now. I'm going to be visiting my niece quickly. Got to drop off some Christmas presents, and then I'll be on my way. Cannon. And they say Canada doesn't have a military. Hello. Hi, Zozo. Are we going to go in your house? Okay, let's do it. Hey, Amy, good to see you. How are you? Are we here? All right, let's go inside. Let's get out of this cold. All right, what do we have here? Oh, it's a puzzle. How many pieces is this?
5.
5? I think it's more than 5. How about there?
That doesn't fit there.
I think you're right. So I'm here at my niece Amy's house. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
And she's doing this lovely job of making me a sandwich, and she's telling me all about her fascinating new work working in television. But sitting right here on the table, she has placed these treats, and I've been trying to listen. I really have. But I think, and I know I should wait till after lunch to do this, but I can't.
Oh, but they're so big.
Okay, continue. Zoe, you really know how to enjoy a treat. Don't wipe that off. That's quality snacks for later. How could you? I love that owl. That's a great painting. Bye, Zoe.
Bye.
Bye. It was lovely seeing you.
Yeah, but I want you to stay here.
I want to stay here. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
I hope you have a nice Christmas. Bye, Amy.
Bye.
Love ya.
See you later.
Oh yeah, the book. My one job. I have to take the book. All right. See ya. These stairs are so slippery. I don't know why there's not just a pile of bodies down here from all the people who've fallen. That was a very nice visit. Great to see Amy. I'm close to my nieces and nephews. I think, at least in part because I was the surprise child. My mother had a boy and a girl, and then 16 years later, when she was starting to get, her life back, she had me. And that meant that my brother and sister were having kids while I was, still pretty young. Although, yes, there were still several years between us. We were closer in age than most uncles and nieces and nephews, and it made for special relationships for sure. I'm in Halifax proper now, and I am experiencing a feeling that I'm not even sure I can explain. I think probably anyone who's ever lived somewhere for the majority of their life where they grew up and then moved away probably can relate, but it's a strange feeling of nostalgia, connection, home, a little bit of longing, like a twist of just realizing you're not really a part of this community anymore, and yet it still feels like home. Now I'm just returning as kind of an outsider. There's definitely a part of me that misses this, that misses Halifax. I love Prince Edward Island, and we have no intention of moving, but I would move back here. But this is kind of a special area of the city to me. Right down there is St. Mary's University. That's where I went to school, and I studied business and majored in finance. And this particular corner is kind of special as well. You'll see the street sign here says Marlborough Avenue and Roxton. This is the street that I grew up on. There was some kind of painful memories tied to growing up on this street. I was bullied pretty severely here. There was a lot of older kids who lived on the street, and I would describe myself as kind of a sensitive, sheltered kid, and so I was an easy target for ridicule. Actually, right here, one of the kids who would really bully me and give me a hard time, I remember specifically getting so angry at him that, and I wasn't one prone to violence, I started just kicking him as hard as I could. He laid here on the ground. I was just so mad. I was so frustrated. I'm just wailing into him with all my might, thinking, finally, I'm getting my vengeance. And he was just laughing his head off the whole time. It was like it was doing nothing to him. And I remember feeling so frustrated and so sad, so very, very sad. I don't mean to change the tone of this vlog. There's just these old memories. Now, over here in this home was what I would have called, my best childhood friend. We played a lot and we hung around a lot together. But the problem was, as soon as these other bigger kids would come out, it was no longer cool to be friends with me. So he'd have to sort of protect himself, and suddenly, he'd sort of distance himself from me in those moments. I don't blame him for that. That's the politics of childhood, I suppose. Oh, hello. Who's this? Hi there, little creature. What's your name? Huh? Oh, you're friendly, aren't you? Oh, you're making me miss Elvis a little bit. I have my stories of frustration and sadness, but like every one of these homes, I'm sure people have experienced something terrible and tragic that just sits underneath the surface and stays with you your entire life. And for me, as much as this is home, I have those memories tied to it that have never left me. Never left me. I think about it with some regularity. Well, here we are. This is my home. This is where I lived. It looks a little different now. It was painted a different color. I've done some remodeling on the home. But this is essentially it. The door here used to be red. I think that was one of my favorite features about the home, was it was white, but this big red door. You couldn't miss it. Marlborough Avenue is a dead end. And this was always kind of great because as kids, we could play on the street. There wasn't tons of traffic coming back and forth here. But I wanted to bring you down to this end because there was somebody else lower on the rung than me. And it was a guy named Tyan, and he lived in this home here. And he was picked on way worse than I ever was. I mean, it's just vicious. I remember him biking down the street and kids picking up rocks and throwing them at him. And for every day that I went home crying to my parents for my hurt feelings, I would never have traded that to be in his position. And I have to say, I'm not proud of this, but there were times when I was grateful to have the attention taken off of me. When he would show up in the group, it was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get picked on this time. It's going to be Tyan instead. Knowing how much the experiences I went through affected me, it's always made me curious to know, is this something that he carried with him all these years? Because it wouldn't surprise me if he did. And I feel bad for my part to play in it. I don't think I was necessarily equipped at the time to be a better friend for him because of my own challenges I was dealing with, but he needed an ally. You know, at least I had Brian down there on the corner. I don't know who he had. It's got to be a terribly lonely way to feel. All right, let's try to rebalance these stories with something a little more positive. I was fortunate. I had a very good upbringing with parents who loved me and cared about me. I was supported, and of course, the majority of my memories are very positive. It's just those negative ones, right? They can really stand out in your mind and make an impression. And the other thing is, I think that the experiences that I had here were very formative to me. They made me a little more sensitive, I think, growing up, to seeing other kids who were getting picked on or who were having a hard time, and it made me empathetic. So while I wouldn't wish those experiences on myself or other people, I think there are certainly ways in which it's changed who I am in a positive way that probably couldn't have happened without those experiences. Okay, so now we're in downtown Halifax, and I'm here to visit a friend of mine that I used to work with when I was with Health Canada. And this would have been my closest, dearest friend, not just at work, but really outside of that. Jeff is somebody that you would describe as having a heart of gold. In fact, I'm pretty confident that's where that description came from. Someone trying to describe the kind of person Jeff is. Anyway, over the years, of course, because we're living in totally different provinces now, we're not as close as we used to be, but I'm really looking forward to seeing him and catching up.
Hi, Jeff.
That's Jeff. So it just kind of helps. Here, I'll get that mic there. I shoot a little video. It's okay. See you later.
Later, Rod.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
It's still true. Heart of gold. Absolute heart of gold. I had been saying earlier that being back in the city of Halifax is kind of a strange feeling because I've been gone for so long that although it was home for many years, the time away makes it feel a little bit foreign. But then I meet up with Jeff and we have a wonderful conversation and immediately time just compresses. And it's like no time passed at all. I'm back with my friend, we're having wonderful conversation, we're catching up, and it just made me feel that connection again to this place, to my history here, and it felt really good. Anyway, I'm in my hotel room now. I'm gonna get some work done.
The breakdown.
At the Boardroom Games Cafe, which is a cafe with games. Kind of makes sense, I suppose. You can see here, whole library of games, and I'm here with Chris, who owns the cafe, and I'm here with John, who works at the cafe as well. All right, John, here we go.
Yep. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, you know what? It's much harder. This is much harder this way, John. Oh,
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Are you
We'll
sure?
see. We'll see.
Doesn't look like it's harder there, Rodney.
It took a second to calibrate. You see, that's how good I am. I shot it through and it came right back through again.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
John, I'm doing this one-handed. You should be a little embarrassed right now. Oh, I'm done. There we go. I'm the champ.
You are the champ.
Nobody likes a bragger, Rodney. Okay, sorry. Good game. Whew. That was a good, full day. But it was a full day. It's time for bed.